Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the problem with Lily Gaddis. So for this video, I'm going to discuss the problem with Lily Gaddis when it comes to the problem with her ideology and the problem, um, with, or I should say, in other words, the foolishness of anti-black racism when it comes to the white community, which I'll explain in further detail when I get to that point, what I mean by that, okay? So that is what I'll be talking about today. And now that I mention that, let's get started. So when it comes to the problem with Lily Gaddis, the first point is a problem with her ideology, okay? The ideology that black people are stupid, which of course is the foundation of all anti-black racism. And the thing I want to say about that is that when it comes to the idea that black people are stupid, I have to say it's completely false because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to the reason why I believe it is false, is that first and foremost, relating to that, um, the truth of the matter is when it comes to the idea that black people are stupid, the truth is when it comes to education and learning and stuff for that matter, is that the first thing to mention is that there's no such thing in life as any skill that is so hard that people cannot understand at a fundamental level. Whether it's mathematics, um, architecture, technology, you know, whatever, you name it, there is a skill. Every skill at a fundamental core is easy to understand. Okay, it's just like, but it's like anything more. Like, the more you put effort into obviously learning more and 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 more, and not just effort but time, you will of course become a better at that particular skill or subject for that matter. So the idea that some way somehow black people cannot come up with cannot become good at a skill or really good at a skill more like for that matter, for whatever subject they decide to do, is simply foolish. And besides, at the end of the day, all it really comes down to is two main things to be brilliant, okay? The first and foremost is have a good idea, which anyone can come with a good idea if you give them enough time. And secondly, of course, to add to that, just have the ability to study, and stuff so you can have the knowledge to actually make it happen, okay? If you do those two things, you can come up with a great idea, like an invention or something like that. So that's the truth of the matter. So that's the first main point I want to get across. When it comes to the idea that black people are stupid, which Lily Gaddis, you know, is trying to put out there, ironically being a person who says black people are useless. At the same time, she thanked them for making her famous in the first place, which in itself is a contradiction. You know, the truth of the matter is, people like Lily Gaddis, when it comes to back to the main point, of course, um, the idea that black people are stupid, and that's not even taking into consideration the fact as well, of course, that there were great African civilizations like the Kingdom of Kush, Nubia, whatever you like to call it. That was a great rival of Egypt, to add to that as well, and the fact that Europeans actually were quoted as saying that they saw civilizations in Africa and that they wanted to destroy the settlements of civilizations in Africa to create this false narrative. This is actually written. These are documented facts in order to push this narrative that black people are stupid so it could justify European exploitation of them. So the truth of the matter is, to put it bluntly, for that matter, her idea that black people are stupid is simply false. It is simply false, and I'm going to put that out there, okay? And this is the first main point I want to make talking about Lily Gaddis, which is that her ideology that black people are stupid is completely false. Now let's get to the second point. Now, when it comes to the second point, for that matter, when it comes to Lily Gaddis, is that this is something that's going to be controversial, but I'm just going to straight up say it because I'm so sick and tired of hearing about anti-black racism everywhere. Which is, the truth of the matter is, wouldn't it make sense when it comes to people like Lily Gaddis and just in general racist white people, and just in general white people who have that way of thinking, and even just the white community in general, to sum it up, to be quite exact, for them to focus more on their own issues instead of focusing on the black community's issues. Because look at all the issues the white community has. Everything from massive substance abuse issues, you know, that they have, to the high suicide rate that is very high among young white males, that ironically rock music has been guilty of actually at times glamorizing, for that matter. Okay, that's a second point I want to make. And lastly, of course, the biggest one and the worst and troubling one of all is a high amount of sexual assaults that happen in white community. Why don't they focus on that? Why do they have to waste their time focusing on black people for everything? Because that obviously poses a much bigger risk to them. Specifically, the third one, a child sexual assault, because boy, is there a lot of them who are sexually assaulted. It's easily estimated that 1 out of 5 people, and I'm going to be quite blunt with you, okay? Reading between the lines, they're referring to white people have been sexually assaulted, okay? So the truth of the matter is, if so many of them get sexually assaulted, why would they want to waste their time bothering us for things that don't really matter? And that's the truth of the matter. Why don't they focus on that instead of focusing on blaming black people for everything? And that is the truth of the matter. So that, to sum up my video here, that's what I want to talk about when it comes to Lily Gaddis. Okay, not only is her opinion about black people wrong, we are not stupid, and secondly, why don't they focus the white community, specifically the racist ones? You know, because a lot of them are rednecks anyway, so they come from areas where that type of stuff that I mentioned happened. You know, when it comes to things like, you know, suicide, substance abuse, and sexual assault, you know, those rednecks specifically focus on that instead of focusing on black people all the time, because that obviously poses a much greater risk to their community, specifically to child sexual assault, than we could ever, ever be able to inflict on their community when it comes to the harm that it does to their community. Okay, just look at Native Americans. They were sexually assaulted, you know, or I should say they had a higher rate of sexual assault. Pretty much the majority of them at some point were sexually assaulted in these schools, these certain schools, and they're pretty much broken. I'm not even hating on Native Americans because they've done nothing wrong to me, but they're broken. No matter how you look at it, they're broken. Look at what happened to them. They're not coming back from it if ever from because of the amount of sexual assaults that happened in their community. It's not even due to the fact that they lost so many people. It's due to the fact that they were sexually assaulted. A specific generation of them, so many of them were sexually assaulted. That's why they're so screwed up in the head. So obviously, when it comes to a community, your main focus would obviously be making sure that you deal with your issues, specifically the child sexual assault issues. Because once that happens, you're done pretty much. And look at them and how they're doing. Oh boy, they're even doing worse than us black people. So what? So to sum up what I'm trying to say here, why don't they focus on that instead of focusing on us? You know, all the time. And that's the truth of the matter. So this is my video. This is all I have to say. To sum up what I was saying, just as a reminder, black people are not stupid, according to Lily Gaddis' way of thinking, as I already gave evidence to prove that we're not stupid. And secondly, why don't they focus on their own issues instead of focusing on us? And that is the truth of the matter. So that's all I have to say for this video. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs us up and subscribe. And this is all I have to say. And simply put on out. So bye.